Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about how to make money with plants. When it comes down to gardening, we take this huge pride and joy in growing these amazing crops that come straight from our gardens. However, when it comes down to gardening, it's not only just about the crops or the plants, if not the different opportunities it offers. And one of these is how to make money or profit out of the plants you grow. Now, many people, when it comes down to selling or creating plants they want to sell, they take upon the role of a nursery owner. They usually create huge mass amounts of plants to sell out, and sometimes they tend to burn out because it's a lot of work. And yes, if you are creating a mass amount of plants to sell as a nursery owner, then yes, it takes a lot of time and takes a lot of responsibility behind it. However, if you just want to do it as a hobby and just make a little bit of cash on the side, make sure to stay tuned to this video. As many of you all know, I am very busy lately with schoolwork, with my job, with volunteering work. I have lots on my plate, so unfortunately, I cannot produce mass amount of plants for me to sell like a nursery. However, I do take pride and joy in creating small different plants, or inventory as we call it, to sell off on the side so I can make connections with other people and spread the happiness of gardening around. So let's go ahead and jump straight into the nitty-gritty. We're going to go ahead and discuss about what materials you need. We're going to talk about what plants you should consider propagating. We'll also discuss about the techniques you could use when it comes down to creating plants to sell. Number 3 is we'll be discussing what plants you should consider propagating. And number 4, what should you do regarding care guides when it comes down to newly created plants. So let's go ahead and jump into our very first topic, which is the materials. Now let's be honest with ourselves. We are gardeners. We buy plants left and right from our local big box stores or from nurseries that are local to our area. So you 100% of the time will have nursery pots laying around that you have not thrown away. Keep in mind, we're gardeners. We tend to save things we know we will use in a later date. And one of those things are nursery pots. So one of the main things you need is a container in which you'll be planting your plants that you'll be creating. This is a necessity. So any type of nursery container you have laying around will be useful when it comes down to creating your own plants. So make sure you have some on hand. So now let's go ahead and discuss about the second most important material, which is the soil. You need soil to grow plants. So let's talk about the type of soil you should grow. The soil I recommend for people to use is a well-aerated, well-draining, and fertile soil. Now you can make your own soil at home, which I made a video on what's the best soil for plants. So make sure to go ahead and check that out. And I cover all the materials you need in order to get the perfect soil for your plants. So just to quickly summarize it, you need a soil or create a soil that has perlite for well drainage and aeration, peat moss or cocoa coir for it to retain moisture, and a biotone starter fertilizer or any type of fertilizer you can mix into the soil for it to be fertile. Those are the main materials a soil needs in order for it to be the best for your plants. In my case, I usually buy all the materials to make in a big bunch for my plants, so it's easier like that, so I know what's going into the soil my plants will be growing into. So moving on to the next part is the technique we'll be using. So the main technique I'll be showcasing in today's video is propagation, as that is the simplest and most easiest thing or technique you could use when it comes down to recreating different plants. And another material you'll need for this type of technique, or usually any technique out there, is a rooting hormone. I use Garden Safe Take Root. This is not sponsored. This is not partnered in any way. This is just a material I use and I have the best success with. So any type of rooting hormone you are used to, you will need for propagation. So now discussing what type of plants you should consider propagating is quite straightforward. Propagation is very difficult when it comes down to hardy or woody stems. So anything that carries a very thick woody stem, I would not recommend propagating, because not only will that take a lot of time for it to take root, but most of the time you will not have a success rate when it comes down to propagating woody stems. Is it impossible? No, but it is harder, especially if you're just trying to get something quick to sell on the side. So what I always gear towards is soft cuttings or soft wooded cuttings. What that means is anything that is tender. For example, I have sisu spinach here, and this is a soft wooded cutting. It is tender, it's a green stem, which means this will be an easier cutting to take root and it will take less time. And it's super, super good to use these types of cuttings because they have multiple nodes along the side of the stem. This is important because those will be where the roots will emerge from, or where they will develop when it comes down to the actual propagation process. So I always tend to propagate dozens of sisu spinach because not only is it a good plant to sell, but also it's because it takes root in less than I would say it takes a couple of weeks for it to take root. So it's quick, simple, and easy, and once it takes root, the plant grows like crazy. So I would 100% recommend doing some research behind the plants you have that are soft wooded cuttings. See how they are selling in the market, see if they're popular, if they're not so popular. Always go towards plants that will always have someone interested in buying them, whether it be flowering annuals, whether it be by flowering perennials or veggies. Anything that could always be sold or has someone interested in buying them is always a good plant to go towards, because you don't want to put something on the market or sell something that no one has no interest in. So do some research, see what's uncommon in your area that's easy to propagate, and go from there. So now let me go ahead and talk to you guys about the actual propagation process. So we have the softwood cutting here, the rooting hormone, and our container with soil. Now you don't always need to fill up your container with soil, as the plant will fill in lots of space. So quite simple, quite easy, quite straightforward. You'll just get your stem, clean all the bottom leaves off, making sure there is some open wounds. Dip it in your rooting hormone, like so, making sure all open nodes are covered with the rooting hormone. Make a little hole, pop it in there. Make sure you compress the soil around it, and you're done. It is super easy, quite straightforward, and it's not a difficult process. From here, all you'll do is make sure it's in a shady location so it cannot be in direct sun. Make sure it maintains moist, because in order for roots to develop and for the rooting hormone to be activated, the soil needs to be constantly moist. So make sure you water it right away, and make sure it has a set watering schedule where it gets watered at least once a day, because it needs that water to take root. So keep in mind that it's like a cut flower right now. It's only relying on water to keep it alive, so make sure you maintain it watered. From there, once you see new growth develop, you can start putting it out in full sun, but for now, keep it in the shade. And then after a couple of weeks, you'll see that your plant has take root and is starting to grow like crazy. So this is actually a sisu spinach I have propagated, I would probably say a month and a half ago, and look at how big and healthy and lush it is. So what's the main platform I recommend? Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace has been the best application for me thus far. It tends to promote new listings. So if you have a new Facebook Market profile, Facebook will help boost your listings and reach people who are interested in the types of plants you're selling. You are growing your own plants, so they will be on the cheaper side of things, and plus you want to give a reason for people to buy your plants. So for example, this sisu spinach right here, I sell it for $5. Simple, straightforward, easy, especially since sisu spinach is not something that you could find at a regular big box store. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more pricier, but for example, right next to it I have some Cuban oregano that's absolutely wild. This one I would only sell for like $3 because it's common, it's easier to get. So you want to go ahead and kind of, bargain a little so your plant is more worth it. Not only you can enjoy gardening as a passion, but as a side hobby or side hustle as well. So definitely consider doing this. So make sure to leave a like underneath this video if you found this video informative. Make sure to comment down below what are your favorite plants, and if you would like to give a go at this little side hustle or this opportunity that I have showcased today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers, so hopefully we hit it by the end of this year. I am super excited. Thank you all so much for watching this video. May God bless you and your entire family, and never forget to grow big, ultimate gardeners. Bye, everyone.